something exceptionally significant in the podcast today, and I will unveil a bold step forward. Welcome to Personal Development Mastery, empowering you with the simple and consistent actions needed to master personal development and create a life of purpose and abundance. I'm your host, Agi Keramidas, and my mission is simple: to inspire you to take action towards a purposeful and fulfilling life. So, before we discuss the evolution that Personal Development Mastery will undergo, and that, may I add, you will be directly involved in, let me share a couple of other things first. I will start by reading a couple of reviews that came recently, along with my thank yous. The first one is called Bite Size Wisdom, and it says, Agi is a curious cosmopolitan soul who teases a lot of insight from his guests. Highly recommend. Johnny Legs from the United States. So thank you very much, Johnny. And I will read one more review titled Great Listen and Extensive Library of Some Personal Development Gurus. And it is by Tom Stapleton from the United Kingdom. It says, if you are looking to develop or just looking for where to start, this library of personal mastery is a great resource. Agi presents in such a beautiful way, and the podcasts are paced perfectly. Thank you very much, Tom, for this beautiful review. Following the show and leaving a review is one of the best ways you can support personal development mastery. And if you leave a review, I will read it in the following episodes of the podcast with my personal thank you message. So, before I explain the reworking, the evolution that the podcast will undergo soon, there's one more thing which actually happened a few days ago as I'm recording this. There was a podcasting event in London called the Podcast Show, and I attended. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is that even though in the past I had gone to many similar conferences, but on the topic of dentistry, this time was the first I attended the show as a podcast host, and it made me reflect on this shifting of identity, this shifting of priorities, of vocation that has been happening in my own journey. And well, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, apart from these existential self-inquiries of mine, the event, the podcast show, gave me insights, actions to take, and changes to implement. And speaking of changes, let's come back to what I started saying earlier. So let me start with the first change, which will apply straight away. From today and for the next few episodes, the podcast will go to a weekly format. So that's one new episode every Monday. And I would like, since you are listening to me, and you may have been listening for a while, I would like to explain why I took that decision and share authentically and vulnerably, I will add, the background of this, or the behind the scenes of Personal Development Mastery podcast. So, the first thing to share with you is that currently there is no production team behind this podcast. It is an independent effort, and much of what you hear I do myself. I mean, I outsource some simple work to a VA, but the majority of the podcast workload is done by me. I have been, and if you are a regular listener, you know that I have been consistently producing 2 episodes a week for Personal Development Mastery, and we have reached 318 episodes in just over 3 years now. And I enjoy it immensely, and I grow from it, and I contribute value through it, and that's why you're listening So recently I have found myself in a situation where I require some recharging or some regenerating, shall we say. But it's not that I'm fatigued or burnt down, not at all. As I say sometimes, personal development mastery is my ikigai, directly related to my mission in life. So it's not about that. And besides, if I wanted, I could schedule the next 10 episodes in advance and then leave it on autopilot. But I don't want to do that because I would like my episodes to be as current, as contemporary as possible. And they have always been since I started the podcast. There was a very slight lag of maybe 1 or 2 weeks. There is no, pre-programmed. Anyway, I digress. The time that I will use recharging, shall we say, will be time spent in the creative direction, in my yin energy, the feminine energy of receiving rather than the masculine energy of doing. And maybe that resonates with you, with times in your past when you felt you needed to take your foot off the pedal a little and have a look around you. So I will allow this creative period for myself, which will also coincide with going for a holiday in my home country, Greece. So the intention behind this is to come up with creative ideas about the future direction of the podcast. And I know that personal development mastery will evolve in the best way that will serve you, actually. You are the reason why I'm sharing all this. And just in case that you usually listen to both episodes a week and you feel like there's not going to be enough for you, may I recommend checking the top 10 episodes of the podcast in the 3 main categories of life. There is tremendous value in these episodes and you will find the link in the show notes. So, talking about serving you with the podcast, let's discuss the most important point I want to make today, really. And this is a point or a message to you. You see, your ongoing support as a listener means the world to me, and I truly value your input in shaping the future of the show and enhancing your podcast experience. And that's why I am extending a special invitation to 10 dedicated listeners like you to join me for a free 30-minute Zoom call where we can have a conversation about your podcast experience. Your insights will play a vital role in making the show even more tailored to your needs and serving you better on your journey to create the life of fulfillment you desire. And to express my gratitude, after our call, I will gift you a copy of my first book. That's right, a copy of my first book, which is ready but has not yet been published. So you will be one of the very first people that will read my first book. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to connect with me personally and exchange insights and read my book before it's available publicly. Simply reach out to me via the link in the show notes or via email aggie@aggiekeramidas.com, and then we will schedule our conversation. I will also send you the questions that I will ask just in case you wanted to prepare. Let's make Personal Development Mastery Podcast an even greater resource for you together. So these were the news I wanted to share with you, and I really appreciate the opportunity to have this more personal communication with you today. and I will be looking forward to meeting you during our call. Until then, stand out, don't fit in,